My name is Ryan McNeil. I'm an assistant professor here at Mount St. Vincent University. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the second annual Social Enterprise for a Day conference. Over the next 24 hours, you'll be using your entrepreneurial skills to make this world a better place, and I really can't wait to see what you're going to be able to accomplish by tomorrow afternoon. Before I speak a little bit about social enterprise and we hear from some social entrepreneurs, I'd like to invite Dr. Ramona Lumpkin, president of Mount St. Vincent University, to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Ryan, and it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all here to the Social Enterprise for a Day conference. It's our second, and it's a collaborative initiative between the Center for Entrepreneurship, Education and Development, Mount St. Vincent University Department of Business and Tourism, and the Norman Newman Center for Entrepreneurship at Dalhousie University. And in the room with us, we have students from the Mount, from the community, from Dalhousie University, from NSCC, and from the Halifax Regional Municipality High Schools. Together, you'll be working to create and implement a social enterprise over the course of the weekend. The social enterprise movement recognizes that business can contribute to prosperity in many ways, not just the economic wealth of a community, but the well-being of the community, to build viable, vibrant communities. Social entrepreneurs apply their creativity to finding solutions to challenges and to problems throughout our society. They seek to develop businesses that create sustainable communities. Over the course of the weekend, volunteers from local agencies, social enterprises, and educational institutions will team up with participants to create a social enterprise business and assist in making it a success. And I want to congratulate all of you here who are bold enough to take up this challenge and wish you the very best as you put your imagination and your skills to the test over the coming 24 hours. And finally, I want to thank the organizers of the event, Peter Mumbriket, Chair, as well as Sandy Finley, Ryan McNeil, and Maria Wumbolt, along with our good neighbors from SEED, Dalhousie, and NSCC for all their hard work in making this conference happen. So let the fun begin. Thank you.
So a few logistics before we get things kicked off. The washrooms tend to be an important question that we get quite often. So if you're not from the Mount, you're not familiar with Rosaria Center, out the door and to the left, past the bookstore, you'll find the washrooms. Registration is also a question we anticipate getting regularly, so particularly for Mount students who are looking to accumulate learning passport points or might be students in my entrepreneurship program. We're looking to have you register 3 times. You've just registered once, tomorrow morning when you arrive, and again when you return from implementing your social enterprise, we'd like you to register again so we can keep track of that participation. You each should have an agenda package now that'll give you a sense of where we're headed over the next 24 hours. I want to talk a bit more about that. But you'll also see that you've been divided out into breakout groups. So over the next little while, take a look at where you're fitting in those breakout groups. And at the end of this evening's talk section, the inspiration section, I'll give you a little bit of direction on where in the building you might be headed, depending on which breakout room you've been assigned to. So now we're asking you to take a leap of faith this weekend, to not focus on the complexity and breadth of the problems in our world, because it's really easy to be paralyzed by the social and environmental and economic problems that our world faces. Instead, we're asking you to focus your energy on what's possible, to focus on the incredible opportunity we all have to change the world and to have a lasting impact. This is really the essence of social enterprise, creating a business that emphasizes social impact over personal profit. Social entrepreneurs are just as driven as other kinds of entrepreneurs. In fact, many sell goods and services to earn revenue in the same way that other entrepreneurs do. The difference is that social entrepreneurs put their energy, or get their energy and motivation from a mission to do good. Mission being the real bottom line of social entrepreneurship. So for this reason, authors John Elkington and Pamela Hartigan have said that social entrepreneurs are unreasonable people. They say they're a generation of social and environmental entrepreneurs who attack intractable problems, take huge risks, and force the rest of us to look beyond the edge of what is possible. They seek outlandish goals, such as economic and environmental sustainability and social equality. In so doing, they disrupt established industries while creating new paths for the future. Muhammad Yunus was considered completely unreasonable when he started lending his own money to poor rural women in Bangladesh. But then those women started repaying those loans at higher rates than most Americans repay their mortgages. Muhammad Yunus went on, as you know, to win the Nobel Peace Prize for his work reducing poverty and establishing the Grameen Bank and its related companies. Another one, Andrew Mawson, was also considered an unreasonable person, and maybe some called him an idealistic clergyman, when back in 1984 he started work to revitalize a physically and socially decaying neighborhood on the outskirts of East London. His legacy includes a vast array of social enterprises around health, art, education, environmental preservation, and his impact on England has been so great that Queen Elizabeth and her government made him Baron Andrew Mawson in 2007. So Muhammad Yunus and Andrew Mawson are extraordinary role models, both who've been recognized in some of the highest orders of recognition. But I think everyone is capable of following their lead, of becoming an unreasonable person. And perhaps this weekend will help propel you in that direction. So we begin this evening by trying to offer you some inspiration. First, we're going to hear from a number of entrepreneurs who operate businesses in the Halifax and Nova Scotia area. And then we'll eat, and we'll hear from the brilliantly engaging Pete Luckett, founder of Pete's Fruitique, and a number of other companies. I hope you'll then carry this inspiration to the breakout rooms later this evening, where you're going to be working together to generate ideas for social enterprise, generating ideas to have an impact on Halifax in the next 24 hours. Tomorrow morning, you'll finish planning out those ideas, and then tomorrow afternoon, you'll head into the field to put those plans into action. Now, you might think it's unreasonable to start a social enterprise in 24 hours. Anybody look at the conference and think that? I know I had some students in my class say, what do you mean we're going to start a business in 24 hours? But I assure you it's unreasonable and it is possible. And that's what the world really needs. 150 of you, 150 more people who believe that they can make the unreasonable possible. So now I'm really excited to introduce 5 people who do this every day. We have with us Peter LaPierre from Home Harvest Kitchen Gardens, Inc., Jamie Melrose from Common Roots Urban Farm, skipping order here, Tara McDonald from 2If by Sea Cafe, Lil McPherson from the Wooden Monkeys, we're pluralizing that now, yay, and Faye McClellan from the Riverbank General Store and Cafe. Let me introduce each of them, and then we're going to have a bit of a conversation with them. I've got a series of questions that we're going to work through, and we're also open to any questions that you might have about the realities of social entrepreneurship. So Peter first. Pete's been an avid gardener for more than 30 years. He's got a keen interest in soil science and ecological health of food web systems. He's passionate about the big benefits of food gardening and set out to develop the practical means and methods to assist others in growing their own food. With support and assistance from Seed, Pete and his partner Patrice introduced Home Harvest Kitchen Gardens, Inc. in April 2011. Home Harvest is an organically modeled edible landscaping company. Edible landscaping, he'll tell us a bit about what that means, I hope. They're committed to helping families, community groups, schools, and others grow their own fresh, nutritious food. They specialize in the design, construction, and maintenance of raised bed, vegetable, and herb gardens. And they provide support and assistance to ensure productive, healthy harvests season after season. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Tara McDonald. Tara started out selling croissants at the farmer's market, and now her and her business partner, Zane, wanted to open a coffee shop. So the two combined their strengths of croissants and coffee, and the rest is history. They now have 2 locations, in Dartmouth and in Halifax's historic properties. And the much-loved 2If by Sea Cafe has been taking HRM's cafe scene by storm. Most recently, they were the recipient of the Business Development Bank of Canada's Young Entrepreneur Award, which is being used to help establish Anchored Coffee, a roastery that will be the first in Atlantic Canada to buy all of its coffee directly from farmers in Central and South America. Welcome, Tara. Jamie Melrose, Common Roots Urban Farm. Jamie spent years contemplating how everything we consume has an impact on the landscape. She grew up fishing, hunting, and gardening in northern British Columbia, working in flower shops and organic West Coast cafes before attending an organic farming school. Here she fell in love with permaculture, which is the science and art of transforming every lawn into a productive landscape dripping with food art and wildlife. Taking this love affair to a professional level, she completed a degree in community design at Dalhousie University, and her first job here was coordinating the community garden on the Dal campus. This has been followed by the design and installation of an all-native food and medicine garden for the Glooscap Heritage Center at Millbrook Reserve, and she's now, as she says, way in over her head, trying to manage the Common Roots Urban Farm, which you'll find around that intersection of Roby and Quinpool on the land that belongs to Capital District Health Authority. You'll see a lovely garden emerging there, which is this Common Roots Urban Farm. So, welcome, Jamie. Lil McPherson was born and raised in Nova Scotia and has always had a passion for environmental issues. After spending 25 years in the food industry, and you saw, I don't know if you saw her carrying 6 glasses in her hand, very accomplished waitress, she was inspired to follow her lifelong dream and bring Halifax the most environmentally conscious restaurant it's ever had, and we now have 2 of those. So Lil believes her business is the most powerful way for her to express her values, to serve her community, and to make a contribution to a healthier natural environment. Her vision of providing healthy and organic living is growing in popularity by leaps and bounds. The Wooden Monkey's been honored by the Halifax Chamber of Commerce Business Awards as being the best new business of the year, and the Better Business Bureau has honored them with the Maritime Business Ethics Award. These awards demonstrate that passion, dreams, and a lot of hard work can bring us all to a more sustainable and environmentally sound world. Welcome. And last but not least, Faye McClellan from the Riverbank General Store and Cafe. In May 2006, Faye started working with the Queen's Association for Supportive Living in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. She was fresh out of university and began her career as a residential counselor, working with the organization's group homes. She soon returned to school to focus her studies in the human services field, eager to learn everything she could about individuals and the challenges that they face on a daily basis. She graduated in June 2008 with a diploma in human services from Nova Scotia Community College. By June 2009, Faye was working at Penny Lane Enterprises, one of the divisions of Queen's Association for Supportive Living. And in early 2010, they expanded their services to include a community-based employment program that would be provided at the community's Riverbank General Store. With her strong sense of passion and pride about their services, Faye immediately jumped on board the new venture as the community-based employment instructor. Quick fast forward to the present finds Faye working as the manager of the Riverbank General Store and Cafe, which has become a centerpiece of this rural small village, Mill Village. Growing up in Mill Village, Faye remembers how vital and important the store was to residents, both young and old, and she feels fortunate to be able to shine the light back on her community, as well as showcase her clients' abilities. She's a firm believer that with hard work, dedication, and teamwork, you can accomplish your goal. Welcome, Faye. So I'm going to join the panelists on stage now, and we'll start by trying to get a sense from them about why their organization might be called a social enterprise. Would anyone like to volunteer and first tell us why the organization you work with is a social enterprise?
I'll start. We're at this end. As Ryan mentioned in the introduction, our mission is to support, assist, and encourage people and groups to grow their own healthy, nutritious food right here at home. The kernel of this idea began one day. I went to the grocery store and bought a bulb of garlic for $3, which garlic grows so well here in Nova Scotia. It's probably the easiest thing to grow of all. I looked at the stamp on it, the little tag, and the garlic had come from Kazakhstan in Central Asia. So I went home and I Googled it to see what the distance was, and it was, I don't know, 10,360 miles or something. And that bulb of garlic came all the way here to Halifax, Nova Scotia to a grocery store. Thousands of miles, a tremendous amount of environmental downplay on shipping fruits and vegetables that distance. And it can be grown here for nothing, or virtually nothing. Once you plant one bulb of garlic, you break it down into cloves, it's like compound interest. Within a year or two, you've got literally hundreds and hundreds of garlic bulbs to plant. So that was kind of the kernel of the idea. We said, well, why aren't we growing our food here ourselves? We used to. My grandparents did. You know, and many of you probably had the same experience. You went to your grandparents' home. They had a lovely garden out back. As a child, you were sent out there to play and pick some peas or beans. And what we found was there was two major disconnects. One is we had just lost that confidence, that level of expertise that just said, well, let's do it. Let's just build a garden and start. Many people say to us, I mean to, and I just about get underway, but you know, another year goes by. So what we do is we help folks get started and support them so that their garden is a success and that they will turn into lifelong gardeners and grow their own healthy food for them, their families, and their communities. The impacts of growing your own food are multiple. I mean, there's certainly the item I mentioned about in terms of the environment. The transportation of food over long distances is really unnecessary, and we should do everything we can to encourage buying local and growing local. Communities benefit from growing gardens. Community groups come together to plant food. It's a very human thing to do. No matter what culture in the world that you visit or experience, one of the basic things of friendship and courtesy is to share food. And when people grow their own food, they do. You just want to bring others in and involve them in the bounty of that exercise. Children benefit tremendously from being exposed to a garden. There's just so many things they can learn, an appreciation of where their food comes from, establishing good dietary habits, and just a sense of awe, you know, of the nature that is around them and being exposed to that. Health, just human health. It's good to know where our food's coming from, how it's been grown, what's on it. Food safety. There may come a time when it's not so easy for us to bring food in from another part of the world. So all of these things just drive us back to saying we should re-embrace with growing our own food and the natural world around the growing of that food. So that's what Home Harvest does. We make every effort to engage people, to begin that experience, and then give them the support and the help that they need over time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tara, why is 2If by C a social enterprise? And I know you hesitate to call it that.
I know. It's funny because I've been thinking about it since hearing everything. And I mean, I actually initially started at the Alderney Farmers Market, literally because I wanted to be social. Because I moved here, I had no friends. I just wanted to be a part of the community. And I moved from Toronto, and the farmers markets there weren't as like prevalent as they are here. Like they're a big part of Nova Scotia. So I wanted to be involved in it, and I initially tried to get into the Halifax market, and they said no. And so I called up Alderney Market, and they were like, "Come down, yes, we'd love to have you. You know, you don't need any experience." So I went down and I just started meeting people, and my enterprise actually took on like a social life of its own. And I had you know, people ordering in advance and calling me on Friday nights, you know, because I would be there Saturday mornings ready for them with their croissants and things. And so it became this, like this little table at the market sort of has become this like community hub, like a place to socialize for everyone. Like we have like babies and moms and retired people and people that work around around the cafe and stuff, and we did the I Heart Dartmouth logo. I don't know if we made shirts, and that literally just came out of like one comment one day, like, because we just loved it so much. Like, we just loved our little engine that could, and it sort of took on a life of its own. Like, I would be lying if I said, like, we set out to be this like social enterprise, like we were gonna take over Dartmouth and like make it this, you know, hotspot. But really, I was scared and tired, and like just trying my hardest to like, you know, make sure that I could pay our bills and that pay our staff and whatnot. And I actually want to give a quick shout out to SEED, because we never would have been able to do anything without them, and CYBF and BDC. So, yeah, yay SEED! Woo! Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
Sure. Jamie, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and why it might be a social enterprise?
So I work with Common Roots Urban Farm, and it's really great to be sitting here listening to you guys. Actually, I feel tired and exhausted right now. It's grant writing season, and so I'm working hard. I hesitate to call our project a social enterprise right now because we have the social and environmental pieces going, but we're working really hard on the enterprise piece. So I'm not confident in that yet. Yeah, so it's an urban farm, and so what Peter described as the benefits of growing local food, in terms of the health benefits and the environmental benefits and the city benefits, those are totally the foundations that I come from in my love of gardening. And then what Tara spoke of in the social capital, and yeah, like the love and value of people having a place to come together and to meet new people. That's like one of these major health promoting things, is that when we get to meet new people and gain social capital. So those are sort of the underlying premises that built the Common Roots Urban Farm. And so the piece that we're working on now, one of the most critical pieces is like, how do we make this economically viable? Which maybe will speak to the struggles with the economics of farming these days and the imperative that is.
Thanks. Lil, that's a great segue to you. Wooden Monkey as a social enterprise.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty tired too. I'm actually kind of blown away that I'm actually even, up here today. 9 years ago, I was just a waitress out there, a mom, 2 kids, and was inspired and took a big leap of faith. Basically, opened a small restaurant because I was very fearful of our food system in Nova Scotia. The hurricane hit here 9 years ago. I remember you guys all remember that. Windy came through our province, and it actually quite terrified me. I started to ask questions about, how good how strong are we as a province? Do we have any food storages, anything we are up north? And I looked into it, and it scared me. It was, we as a province look out there for everybody else to fill our fridge. That's not acceptable to me, and it scared me. And I guess I just through the years I learned about factory farming and GMOs, and just our agricultural system is broken. It's unsustainable. It's not. It's falling down. It's coming towards. It's like a plane. You think it's okay, but it's actually on a crash course. And some of us see that. So, putting all this together, I just said, well, what can I do? I don't have any money. I don't know really anybody. I am a waitress, so I decided to open a restaurant. Small little place. I had no idea ever in a million years that I would have 2 restaurants of this size. I'm completely blown away. Thank you all for coming. It was a huge leap of faith. I wanted to open a restaurant that wanted to support the local food system, the local farmers, build a local economy, because it's not just about farms, it's about everything. The whole thing is together. It's a holistic view. You can buy your printing local and everything. So it became that vision, and I tell you, it's the most satisfying thing that I've ever gone through in my life, is to see a farmer come through my back door with his children and bring the eggs in carefully, and I get to write him a check. and I sell his food, and I get to get a paycheck, and it's very, very powerful, and it wasn't easy, and everyone, probably most of my family and 80% of my friends basically said, you know, don't do it. You don't have any money. I didn't. No banks would give me any money, so I started with nothing. And this probably isn't the way to do it, but sometimes you just have to step out. And I really believe, and Ryan, you really hit it. When we have a mission to do good, and I really felt more fearful of not doing it. And that stepped in. I found a little trick when I started to open this restaurant. I have a little fear box called a failure box. I step in that failure box and I go, if I don't do this, or if I do this and it all fails, it all goes to pot, how do I feel? I thought, okay, I'm good. I think I'm gonna be okay. I'm still a waitress and I can do other things. And I think that's really important. You take a leap of faith, but it panned out and people came and they said that, you know, there's not enough flaky organic people to pull this off. So everybody that comes to the Wooden Monkey, you're all flaky and organic, so just want to let you know that. But it's wonderful, and it's good. I feel good. People come to a restaurant and they feel like they're contributing, not just having a good meal, they're supporting something. And I think when we all go after a bigger vision and do for the better of all, I know this is flaky, but I think the universe helps you. It's something very powerful starts to happen, and believe in yourself because you know, you're your best ally. Anyway, thanks.
Faye, can you tell us a bit about the general store and why it might be a social enterprise?
Certainly. So our general store is owned and operated by an organization called QESL. We are a voluntary nonprofit organization based out of Queens County, Nova Scotia. Our mandate is to provide opportunities for individuals living within our community that are facing disabilities or challenges, to provide them education, training, and a safe environment to learn these skills in. So the Riverbank General Store, by purchasing the business and taking it on, we gave our clients an opportunity to gain these work-related skills in a natural and realistic type of setting. We don't have them in a sheltered workshop. They're actually out on the front lines dealing with the public and the community and dealing with issues that you or I would be dealing with in our daily jobs. The store and cafe provide the opportunity for us to give them permanent employment options, which isn't always the easiest thing for an individual with a disability to obtain. It's critical, it's very critical to many of our clients because have we not been able to offer them this opportunity, it would be very difficult for them to maintain employment. So our store really focuses on not only being a social enterprise that is environmentally sustainable and aware, but really our social enterprises is directed towards the benefit of a group of specific individuals.
Thank you. So I'm hoping that many of the students in the room will head out over the coming years and start their own social enterprises. And maybe they can learn from your experience in starting the organizations that you're working at right now. So the next question is about how you got started and whether there were any interesting lessons there, or challenges you faced getting started, or supports that you had in getting set up.
Sure, thanks, Ryan. Definitely, for us, a big starting point was certainly the support that we received from the SEED program. It was just fundamental in keeping us on track, forcing us really to look at the things that sometimes you choose not to. We all have come up with ideas that we're passionate about, and often we tend not to look at some of the inputs or some of the things that could affect those ideas. Not because we're trying to ignore them, we're just so passionate and we're so focused on where we would like to go. I'll give a metaphor or an analogy, I guess, of the challenges that we have just in terms of building our business. When I set out to build a garden, I've got a picture in my mind of what it's going to look like. It's going to be vibrant, healthy, just exploding with all kinds of herbs and vegetables and a happy customer. That's the vision I have. But the reality of it is what I'm really thinking about to make that happen is whether there's sunlight, whether there's a good source of water, and what about the soil? The soils here in an urban environment aren't conducive to growing healthy plants. So I'm thinking about how am I going to create a soil with an ecology that is going to support that plant growth over the course of the season and the years to come. And I'm thinking about what's in that soil, how to make it alive. You know, the bacteria, the protozoa, the fungi, the yeast, the insects, the earthworms, the nematodes, all of those pieces of life that are operating within that soil medium that are interacting, competing, benefiting mutually from each other's processes to create that nutrient-rich soil that's going to support that plant growth. So when I think about building our business, it's much the same thing. There's all of these connections that are all essential in terms of the outcome, the growth. There's partnerships, there's alliances, there's thinking of learning about, you take one particular area that you're working on and then you stretch that and you explore it and think about more. But it's all of those filaments and those links to all of those supports that you're going to need not only to build your business, but to provide the stability, the vitality, and the resilience to take it over a period of time against the many challenges that you may face. So I look at it as growing a garden, planting a seed. And for that to really work, what do I have to think about? What are all of those connections that I can make? And it's really just, you know, interacting with other people, you know, whether it's, you know, people that you're working with, people that are in the industry that can support you, that can guide you. Mentors are just terribly important when you're beginning your business. So the challenge of growing a business, I look at it that way. The marketing a business, building a business is very expensive, but it becomes affordable and becomes doable when you make all of those links, you draw upon all those resources, and you understand how they work together and how that's going to build and support your business. It's just vitally important. And what that means, really, is becoming involved in your community and the people around you. And that just opens the door. All of a sudden, people often say, oh, I'd love to get into something, but I just can't think of what to do. But once you begin to create those links and those support networks, it comes into focus. So that would be my advice to you if you're starting a social enterprise. Really think about all of those ways that you can build your business, and people will help you. There's lots and lots of support out there.
Thanks, Pete. That kind of connects to some things that Tara's already said about the importance of community. So, Tara, you know, we know that you started selling croissants at the farmers market. How critical was that? How did you get the cafe up and going?
Oh, it never would have started without the market. Never. Because I had never baked a croissant in my life before I moved here in 2008. And we opened the business in 2009. So it just never would have happened, ever. It was like a really strange chain of events. But what I would say, we've been asked this before, like, you know, how did your business start and what kind of advice would you give? And often my advice is don't do it. Just don't do it, because it's so painful and hard and like earth-shattering. But I don't want to be negative, so I'm trying to like phrase this in a way where it's like the reality of it is you're never gonna be prepared ever. But you have to be flexible. You have to be humble. You have to be honest. You have to be transparent. You have to be passionate. You have to just you know, focus on the good, you know, because there will be a mountain of challenges. And we literally, we opened the cafe. It took us like 8 months to write a business plan. We went to seed. We like sat in front of the dragon panel, which was super scary. And they gave us some money, And then we, like, with bubble gum and duct tape, like, put together a cafe. And then the people came. And then we literally didn't have to do that much. Like people came and loved it and embraced it and called it their own. And then literally all I had to do was get up at 4 and make tons of croissants. Like,
That's all.
Like it became, it took a life of its own, so it was a lot easier. But
That's pretty scary for the students in the room who are worried about getting up at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
I know, yeah, yeah.
Jamie, how did the farm start? How did the urban farm start?
That again was a great segue. So yeah, the farm started from within Capital Health. It was an idea within Capital Health, and like this is wrong, but it like started all wrong. I feel like we didn't so first off, when I say that I'm in over my head, I have never really worked for people, like a professional organization. And so the whole apprenticeship and mentorship thing, like every day I'm like, oh God, like why am I doing this backwards? So, working for someone who's already good at doing it is smart, like learning from their mistakes and just like figuring out how those things work. But that's not how I did it, and that's not how this project did it. And so it's a total like fly by the seat of our pants sort of thing, which, isn't that great that can work too? And so my attitude last summer was like, I was like, look, we have a problem. Like, at least we have a problem. Like, at least we have something that's going wrong, that we can work to fix. Isn't that great? It's better than nothing. And then there are people all around us that are helpful, which was the advice Lil gave me yesterday too. She was like, just go find someone else to do it. Which I've learned then the answer is, great, who can you give to me? So asking for help and what Tara just said about being flexible, humble, and transparent, I think is really, really great to just like keep asking for help. And in that way too, networks can build. And so we're like building things together as we go, which I think in the reality of the urban farm, like there aren't very many urban farms, and the business model that we're trying to put together, there aren't any around here. Like there's none that I can go visit. And so it is one of those innovative new things. And so sometimes, we, like Lil was saying too, you just like launch.
Yeah, you just start. There's the metaphor of the rocket ship, which I talked about in my class, that people will sometimes spend 6 to 12 months in their silo building their rocket ship, hoping that it's going to launch, and only to find out that it fails. And others will just launch themselves on the world and find their way as they go. So we're hearing that theme. Lil, was it that kind of thing for you? Launch yourself on the world?
Absolutely. It was absolutely a big, huge leap of faith. And I think the most important part of jumping into a business that you is really smile a lot and have a fantastic attitude and believe in yourself, because people will give you stuff. People will really help you. If you have a terrific attitude and you're happy and you're like, man, I got this great business and and this is the dream and this is it, and you sell yourself first. It's really important. And I tell you guys, if I was 20 years old, I got about 10 businesses in my head. I mean, this is the most fantastic opportunity right now on this planet, because the green sector is the largest growing sector in the world. Everything has to be repackaged, redone, redone over, redesigned. So you guys you're in an incredible time right now. So, but for opening the restaurant for us, I mean, I had to go find, there was no local supplier list. Nobody's ever done it to this extent. And there's a lot of amazing restaurants doing some local stuff too. And I think we're one of them for sure. But, to the degree I was going like, well, you can't open a restaurant without Coke or Pepsi. I said, yeah, I can. You can't open a restaurant without deep fryers and microwaves and have all local, as much as you can local food. It's just, this is almost 10 years ago. And they're like, it's not going to work. And I'm like, no, we can do this, So, I really felt Halifax needed it. So I went to the farmers, and I also worked at the farmers market for 2 years. So that was a huge thing for me to learn. So I went to the farmers, and I just said, basically, I'm opening a restaurant. I have no money, but do you have any chickens? Do you have pork? And it was funny because what happened was what was needed, because we're so in trouble with our food system in Nova Scotia, is I'd go up to a farmer and say, I need this much chicken. And he'd say, well, I only have enough, you're for a restaurant, I only have enough for like 2 months. And I said, I don't have enough for a year. And I said, great, I'll take the 2 months worth. Okay, what else you got? You got any chickens? And how much? Oh, really? You really? He said that was the most amazing thing. And all the farmers said that to me. They said, nobody's ever said that to us. They're always like, if you don't have enough for the whole year, well, sorry, I can't take it. I took everything from anybody. And basically, and it became this evolution through the year after year. After the first year, it's like we sat down and said, okay, wow, we threw so much chicken, our sales are going up. Go get some more squash and go plant some more chickens and beef and chicken. So I'd have all these suppliers, and we have about 40 suppliers, which is a lot. And it's really challenging, but it started to work. But piece by piece, and piecing all these, and just talk about getting the equipment together, and just have a plan. And I tell you, to this day, I have no idea how we put that first restaurant together. Because I honestly, it takes you 6 months to negotiate a lease. I signed a lease in 2 weeks. We put the restaurant together in 3 months. I was like, I borrowed equipment and people, and things just happened. And I remember, one time I had to, and I was just like, looking for money all day and trying to build a restaurant at night, and I was trying to get partners, and I was like, do you want to do this local thing? They're like, local? No, and finally my friend, waitress, came in with me, and she was like, yeah, I think I want to be your partner. I said, great, you got any money? She was like, no. I'm like, oh, do you have a visa? She goes, yes. I'm like, come on in. So literally, this is not the way to do this, but sometimes you have no choice. And some really cool stuff was happening, and I remember I woke up one time in the middle of the night, I could hardly breathe, and I woke up and I was like, I needed $5,000. And it was like, I couldn't get it, I couldn't find it, and I needed $5,000 that next day. And I woke up 3 o'clock, and I woke up and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get it. So it's too big for me, I don't know, I couldn't figure it out, so I just threw it in the air. Literally, I always do that, I'll just throw it up in the air. And I got up the next morning, and this is a true story. That day, this guy comes in the restaurant, I was still building, and he comes in, and I just had lost my brother, had died a few years ago. We were supposed to have a restaurant, and he died on me, so I decided to do it anyway. So I had this guy walked in, and he said, hey, I heard, he knew my brother Jim, and he said, I heard you're trying to open this restaurant. I said, yeah, I am, and he said, well, your brother would kill me if I didn't come in and see what you're doing. I said, yeah, well, no, he's a dishwasher guy, and he's like, looking around, and I said, well, I got this back dishwasher handle, but I need the front one. And he's looking around. He said, comes in the back of the dishwasher, in the kitchen. He goes, well, I should, don't tell anybody this, which I'm telling you all this. Don't tell anybody this, but I will build you, I'll give you a dishwasher. Now, I'll build it. It's going to be secondhand, but I'll build you that dishwasher, put you in that corner there. I'll do that for nothing for you. I said, what? I said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, really? You're kidding? Give me a dishwasher? You're gonna make me this dishwasher? I was like, you're kidding me? Yeah, he said, I'll do that. You're gonna buy my supplies. I said, yeah, for sure, and I'll order this one. Yeah, okay, great. I said, wow, give him a big hug. I didn't even know his name. I said, what's your name? It was a big angel that came in. And so I said, absolutely, wonderful, thank you so much. I canceled the dishwasher that I had ordered, and guess how much that dishwasher was? I swear, $5,000. Exactly $5,000. The people that were building the restaurant, they were like, wow! And we actually had this hole in the ceiling that I'd stand underneath the hole and I'd go, I need, and then that was the last piece that we actually screwed it on in case we had to unscrew it, we needed some more help. But, I fudged my way through this project, this restaurant, and I was basically, every month would be like, I'd phone up my supplier, my guy, and I'd say, hey, I know I owed him $1,000. I'd say, so hi, it's Lil from the Monkey. How hungry are you? Are you starving? Are your kids eating? Or can you wait a month? And somebody would go, nope, I'm starving. I'm like, okay. I'd write them a $100 check and write a big happy face on it. That'd be gone. I swear to God. And we did that the whole year, and I was just honest, and I upbeat. No, it was just like, it's great, I'll give you whatever I can, and lo and behold, customers came, and we you know, worked our way. We came from basically nothing. I mean, I will share this with you. The 2 years before I opened the Wooden Monkey, I made $12,000 a year. So anything's possible. So anyway, there's lots of, it's fun. It's stressful, and you're kind of like you're on the brink of like success or not. But it's a hell of a ride, and I recommend it. I do. I totally recommend it because everyone should try to, you know, everyone should try to open a business. It's good.
Thanks, Lil. I think it's interesting, a good segue here too, because Faye's startup story for the general store also has a lot to do with trying to have very little resources and get a building up and running.
Very little resources and training in our field that we were going into.
Yeah.
So, approximately 10 years ago, as an organization, we started to brainstorm what are our possibilities for kind of expanding our services that we were offering, but at the same time keeping in mind that whatever we did decide to expand on, it needed to be sustainable in order for us to succeed. So our opportunity presented itself when we received a one-time $150,000 grant from the Department of Community Services. By receiving this grant, we were able to purchase the building, and mind you, the purchasing of the building took up the majority of our grant, so that left us with very minimal resources to kind of do the renovation phase, which was our next big step, because the building was in really hard shape. In order to make it accessible for our clients and our customers that we were serving, there had to be some major work done. So with some major budgeting, we kind of played with our numbers, and we also made the decision to take on a lot of the renovations ourselves. So with a mix of staff and clients, we were able to completely renovate the building. We had put on a new roof, painted interior and exterior, new plumbing, replacing sills in the building. We're talking about a building that dates back to the 1800s, so it was, like I said, in very hard shape. So we knew at the time that by purchasing the building in that area that it was rich with history, and it has an absolutely picturesque setting. We are located directly on the Medway River, so we really kind of viewed that as our opportunity to not only draw in our customers, but kind of keep them wanting to come back to our area. So I do say I have to agree with the panelists in terms of you have to be driven, you have to be motivated, you have to understand that in order to achieve your success, you're going to hit many, many roadblocks along the way. And if you don't, then there's something seriously wrong, because that's just, I think, a normal part of anything when you're working with limited funds and funding and grant work and stuff like that. So another kind of challenge that we faced during this process was we had to make the decision whether or not to close down during a renovation phase. Which in return, where we were just kind of starting up and starting fresh with the business, it would have been too much of a loss for us to take. So thankfully, our community members were quite understanding and helpful and willing to work with us during this phase, and kind of worked around us as we had walls pulled down in the middle of the business. And yeah, so with community support and dedication, you really can you can achieve what you're out there to do. So.
Thank you. So many of you have talked about some of the difficulties in getting started. I heard, 2 or 3 of you talking about being very tired right now, about how it wasn't easy. I wonder if maybe you could share, each of you, maybe a story about a challenge that you faced in this work and how you've overcome that challenge.
Oh boy.
Anybody?
There's so many challenges. Holy mackerel. You could have a book on that one. I'll mention something that's really kind of unrelated to the business, but just the vision of who we are as a company. And I think that's really important to define yourself who you are and stay in that, because we've had many customers come to us and say, don't change. You know, one day our chicken truck, the guy, I call him Chicken Man, he called me, Lil, my chicken truck broke down. And I said, well, chicken truck, the truck with chicken on it, broke down, and I can't make it in today. And I said, okay, no problem, you know, it's life. And we have to learn to live in a real world, because we don't live in a real world. Everything's not packaged, and, you know. So I said, okay, well, we won't have chicken. So the next day, we didn't have chicken. And I told the customers, we don't have chicken today because the chicken truck broke down. And so you have the hamburger or have something else. And one woman said, really? You don't have any chicken? I said, no, we got no chicken. And she said, well, why don't you just go to the regular supermarket store, you know, whatever name, Sobeys or Superstore, and buy some chicken. I said, because it's not happy. I want happy chickens. You know, I said, because it's not what we're standing for. We're standing for local farmers. We're standing for an ethical, you know, buying ethical meat and all that stuff. And she said, wow, you're really serious about this? I said, yeah, I am. She said, don't change. I said, I won't. And I think it's really powerful that you need to stay on your course. And I'll mention something a little different, like what happens when you become, I think, we've kind of evolved it, when we're in an environmental conscious restaurant. I kept saying I want to be a restaurant with a conscience, like a restaurant with a conscience. I said that the whole time we're even open yet. And I was like, I want to be a restaurant with a conscience. I want to be the whole thing because we have to. We can't have any business anymore without a conscience. Done. That's how I feel. I think it's socially responsible if you don't. But one thing I was, the fracking issue came up in this province, and they were going to frack down by Tattnagouche. I have a farm. I'm also a farmer now too, and so I'm against fracking because it's a whole ripple effect because it can go into your water. It's going to affect the water system, the soil, which affects the food, and anything that happens in Nova Scotia to me is important for me because that's where all my farmers are, you know. And it's funny because you have these little hiccups in your restaurant. So it was like I was kind of making a little bit of a stand there, and you know, people were like, "Well, what are you doing that for?" One guy came in actually, and a fracking man came in and gave me a hard time, and that was a little bit funny. You know, my partners are going, "Little," you know, like you're trying to, you're trying to get the food system going. Why do you have to take this on? I said because it's all of it. And it was really strange, but it really made me feel, no, I have to stay true to who we are. You know, I'm just not going to save the food system. I want to save it all. The water, the air, anything that's got anything to do with those sources that make us live, we have to protect. So you'll find if you take this on, it'll take on a life of its own, and then you have to really, you'll grow in that too. You'll grow into that, but there's some different challenges that way we found, but this fracking man came in and he challenged me, and I said, look, I got natural gas downstairs in my restaurant, so don't beat me totally up. I'm just the hydraulic fracking that is really scary stuff for us and this planet, and ruins the water. That's it. We poison the water, we're done. And I said, just wait on the technology. I was trying to talk to him, but anyway, he actually threatened my business and said, we'd like to boycott you, and I was like, whoa. So it's a little, you get a little scary there, but I felt good. And when I walked by the restaurant, I walked him out, and my staff were like, clapping, and they were like, yeah, so it's like, okay, let's take on fracking. But, if you're gonna, to me, personally, it's a full circle. You really have to, you're gonna stand up, be proud to stand for what you believe in, even though you're gonna have a few people are gonna swing at you, but just duck.
Anyone?
There you go.
Thank you. Anyone else on the panel have a challenge that they want to share that they've encountered?
Can I go? One of our biggest challenges has also been one of my proudest sort of rewards, which is staffing. Dealing with people is very hard, and it's not something that you sort of think about when you go into, start your own thing and everything, is that you need people. You have to have a team. It's we. We never say I, it's we. It's always we. No matter what you're doing, if you're washing dishes or, pulling shots, like it's all we. But dealing with a lot of people is very difficult. It's been stressful, really stressful at times, because there's different personalities, and everyone, if everyone on staff has a bad day one day a month, then there's, you're having a bad day every day kind of thing. So trying to, I always wanted to be like 100 times better than the best employer I ever had. And So that's one of our mandates, is just to like, we try to look after our staff, and sometimes that doesn't work, and it's, you know, it's hard to step back from that and still feel okay at the end of the day and stuff. So it's difficult, but it's also like we have 25 staff, and not including myself and my business partner, and we help them like live and survive and give them a nice place to come and work every day and everything. So it's extremely rewarding, but also very challenging at the same time. So, yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
One last point, I guess. One thing to keep in mind is that you have to make a profit. You have to generate revenue.
Nah. No, I'm joking. Overrated.
But as part of any business plan, particularly one that you have a passion about and one that has a social enterprise component, you want to help everybody. And you want to, you know, and if they can't afford it, you want to do it anyway, you know. And you have to be able to balance what you can do, what you can afford to do, because if your business doesn't survive, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So that's always something that any business owner, and particularly any business that's focused on community and building capacity within the community, has to weigh, and it's not always easy. So, you know, but that's just one thing. You know, it's important that the business principle and the structure of the business recognizes that there has to be a revenue stream to make all of those dreams or those things that you would like to achieve come into reality. Yeah.
So how did those of you on the panel balance those social and financial goals? You've got a financial bottom line, you might have a mission bottom line or some kind of social bottom line. How do you balance those? And have you ever had a time when they were in conflict?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes? Okay.
Oh,
Who'd like to go first then?
Well, I think, you know, often it comes down to just how much time you have. I mean, in our business, it's seasonal. And so we have a fairly short window in where we want to capture as much business as we can. But we also found that when we're working with community groups, we worked this past year with the Immigrant Settlement Integration Services to build a garden on Glen Forest Drive. And I first looked at that, and it was going to be 6 beds, and then it turned into 10, and then it turned into 18. And I said, well, I'm going to be here for 2 weeks building these because I wanted to help out, and we weren't going to charge for our services. But on the other hand, we said, well, okay, we'll do what we got to do. You know, let's get it done. Well, we showed up that particular day to build that garden, and it was one of the most remarkable days of my life. The immigrant community that's involved with the garden came pouring out of the buildings, from grandmothers to grandchildren and everybody in between. They grabbed the shovels and the picks and the wheelbarrows, and what I thought was going to take 2 weeks, we started at 10 in the morning and we finished at 2 in the afternoon. It was just remarkable how much got achieved in such a short period of time. So, so sometimes you just got to say, well, okay, you know, if I put myself out there to help, they'll give back. People give back. You know, they want to make it work. So, so you know, it's not always as big a task as you might first envision when someone says, "Can you help me on this?" Well, you know, if you agree to help, you'll probably find that you get twice as much back in return. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any other findings from that social, financial payoff?
Well, we've had some. I have a business partner, Christine, mostly at the Wooden Monkey at the Halifax. We have Matt over Dartmouth too. But when we first started opening up, I had the vision and the passion and the kind of the whole picture of what I wanted to do. And when I brought a partner on, I wanted to bring a partner on that wasn't the visionary person, because I was that. So you have to bring, if you're going to bring a partner on or surround yourself with somebody, you have to do it. To me, the most successful management is I surround myself with people that know more than me. And that's the best, which I do. Everyone around me knows a lot more than I know, and that's good, you know. So I brought Chris on, and she's a numbers person, and she's, you know, I'm like to save the planet. I'm green driven. She's green driven. money, and I'm green driven, so it's perfect. And we're like a horse and buggy team, and we always are banging heads constantly, because doing a restaurant of this style, I really wanted to push the limit. Like we don't, you have a piece of pie in your business pie, and you have food costs, labor costs, fixed costs. You have to do your pie. You have to make sure, you do it all, and it all up to $1. So you have to take all that percentage back. And, we have the largest food costs in the country. I mean, we're always saying, we buy, other restaurants were watching us and saying, how are we staying in business when we're buying, $50 jugs of maple syrup instead of, $2 bags of white sugar? How we don't have anything cheap at the restaurant. There's no Coke or Pepsi to make the money. Everything's like, color soft drinks and cranberry juice and blueberry juice. I wanted to really highlight everything that we are and show, and Chris would be like, well, we can't afford this. So every time we bring something to the restaurant, we're always discussing. I mean, we're like, I'm like, oh, I found biodegradable straws. She's like, wow. How am I going to put that in the cost of the meal? And I'm like, yeah, but we need to do that because it's the right thing. And we'd always constantly are batting heads, and sometimes it's give and take. It's tough. It's like, I want so badly to have organic potatoes, all of them. I have some, but I can't have them all because a bag of, a regular 50-pound bag of potatoes might cost you $10, and an organic might cost you $30, $40, $50. So it's like, so you have to, you pick your battles, but you're constantly, but I want to stay in business. And she keeps reminding me that, so it's, we do a lot of community work, and people want to you want to do things for free, so many things, and so many people come to you, and you're involved in so many environmental things, but you really gotta stay in business, and it's okay. And I want green people to make money. We can make money. It's good. We have to be able to do this, but we hit them all the time. Constantly.
We have
Faye,
this,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, my business partner and I have the same relationship, except I'm Christine. He's a Lil. I can't wait to tell him.
That's right. it's like a horse and buggy, it's like.
And it works. It does work. It's
hard.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
bang, bang.
well, maybe Tara will go to you next. Your business, you've gone a long way. I mean, geographically a long way to try and to ethically source some of the inputs for your business. More expensive to do that. So you're balancing this kind of this social and financial bottom lines. Can you tell us a bit more about that decision to go direct to buy direct from farmers?
So our main roaster, 49th Parallel, they do direct trade. So we couldn't do it ourselves. We didn't have the capacity, like as one coffee shop at the time. So we sourced out roasters that we respected. They weren't local. 49th is in Vancouver. We ship it. It sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it. It is a give and take. It's like they go directly to farmers. It benefits, it benefits their families and their communities more. But then they bring it back to Vancouver, and we have to ship it all the way across the country. So there's this, anyway, it's definitely a sort of convoluted. It's not as simple as we would like it to be. But so we were given this amazing opportunity by the BDC, and literally today started the roaster to roast our own beans. And we will be going to the countries and speaking to the farmers directly, and garnering relationships with them to buy the beans, buy the whole crop, the whole lot. It's called. We're not the first to do it, obviously, because there are other roasters in Canada and elsewhere to do it. I think fair trade has sort of taken on this crazy, I don't know, life of its own, and everyone stamps everything with fair trade, and they think it's okay when there are, like anything, there can be corruption and whatever, and we could talk about this forever, but basically fair trade there are fair trade commissions, and they kind of pool everything together in a big pile, and the farmers end up making a little bit more money because it's fair. It's a lot fair trade. But with direct trade, we go directly to the farmers, so they make exponentially more. You cut out that often corrupt sort of middleman. And there are cafes, actually there are other cafes in the city that do it not totally, like not 100%. But we will be doing it, and we're working on it. It's complicated, and you're trying to balance the money of it all, because it's a lot more expensive. It's like really expensive, and it would be easy to just buy, from fair trade or from other people, like large bags of miscellaneous beans that are all mixed together and stuff, but in the end, you don't get a great cup of coffee. You're not helping, other communities in other parts of the world, and we don't really feel that great about it. So we've sort of stolen from other places in our business to be able to offer this to people, if that makes any sense. Like we've had to really buckle down in other aspects of the business in order to focus on this, for right now. And that's kind of how we've done that.
Thanks. Faye, do you have anything to say on this balancing act? I mean, the balancing act may be a little different for your general store, where you've got a business set of customers that come in to buy goods and serve goods at the general store, but you've also got a separate group of clients that you're trying to serve. So how do you balance those two client groups and serving them both?
This is often a challenge that we do find ourselves faced with daily. Our end goal is not to make a substantial profit, and at the end of the day, really, if we do make any little bit of a profit, that's a bonus for us. That means that we have achieved our goal of employing our clients within the community, but then that's kind of the little added extra, that little bit of profit. Because the service that we provide to our clients is a primary focus, we always use this as a basis for our decision making. And whether that be a business decision, a product decision, it all comes back to the fact that we are working within a limited budget, and we need to really be conscious about where we are using those funds. Quite often, being outside and being in a rural location, we face challenges with suppliers, organic suppliers, and quite often we're faced with the high cost of just being able to get those products to our shop. We want to be able to display and promote organic, and but again, it seems to be a constant conflict to being able to balance the financial with the actual ability to receive those type of goods. So.
Thank you. Jamie, you mentioned that the biggest challenge for the urban farm right now is becoming financially stable. Did you want to elaborate on that, or?
Well, when I read the question, that for me right now the biggest challenge is slightly different,
okay.
Which is balancing work time and personal time, and that, right, like the whole work-life balance. And I think that if I was operating my own business, how that equation would map out for me might be different, because it would be my capital and my time that I'm investing. But I'm working for an organization, and I don't have my own capital to invest in that organization. And so how I'm renting out my labor to this organization, and how much I give to it and how much it gives back, and I'm working in the nonprofit scene, and it's pretty classic in the nonprofit scene that you get paid for 35 hours a week and work a lot more than that, and your wages are really low, and then you wonder why you're not working for a big corporation, and then you remember why. And right, and then just trying to get your exercise and hang out with your buds and stay connected to the community in a bigger way. That's the challenge. That's my challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think with saying that with nonprofit too, a lot of us that are in the nonprofit sector, at the end of the day, like you said, you put in your hours, but it always seems you're doing so much more. I think at the end of the day, for individuals like us, the reward honestly is the reaction you get from your clients or the community members that you're serving. That truly is kind of the biggest payoff in the end.
Because that is success as well.
Yeah.
We can define success in a different way. It's not just money. It's feeling good.
Exactly.
It's being able to sleep at night.
Feeling like you've made an impact in someone's life or in the world,
Yeah, and that's success.
whether it be big or small.
That's great. And I almost want to end on that point, unless I wanted to give a chance for everybody, just one by one, if you wanted to give a 30-second inspirational blurb to send the students on their way thinking about their social enterprise. Do you have any words of advice that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
If you have a passion and an interest, pursue it, run it down, explore it. I took a Bachelor of Science in Biology, and I graduated in 1976 from St. Mary's University, plant science and entomology, insects. Then I went to work 2 weeks later with Ford Motor Company as a district representative. I didn't know anything about cars. I still don't know anything about cars. I had a good career. It wasn't all with Ford, but I worked corporately for the next 33, 34 years, and I made a good living at it. And I raised my family, and I enjoyed it. But just about every day I went to work, I felt a little bit like I was a square peg in a round hole. And as time went on, people would say to me, like, Peter, like, didn't you ever think about farming or landscaping or something different? You know, just simply because I would be talking about it all the time, and they knew I was knowledgeable about it. So it took me 37 years to make the decision to give it a try. I would encourage all of you not to wait so long. So.
Thank you. Tara, any words of advice?
Keep it simple. Stay focused. Try not to have everything that's coming at you dissolve what you originally set out to do, because it's really easy to do that. If you're not making money at it, it's just a hobby. Don't forget that. Because that is a reality, and this is Christine. I'm being Christine right now. And you know, just make sure that it makes you happy. Just like do what you love, you know, and just follow it, you know, without regard, basically.
Thank you. Jamie.
Don't forget to get your exercise.
Oh, nice. It's incredible, the heart disease among entrepreneurs, actually. Lil.
Deep breathe. I would say absolutely do something green. It is where the money is. It's where the future is. If you don't do something in a green conscious mind or in a business of some sort, you'll be left behind. And I would say find something that you really love, because I've always loved food. I've always loved the environment. I've always wanted to do something with the environment. And I ended up at this restaurant, and now I'm making a living at this. So you actually can. That's what I would say. Just green.
I would definitely suggest that you find a niche and really go with what you know. Do what you do best, and keep your business plan kind of in line with your core values, which whether it be assisting a group of people, assisting to create a better environment, really keep those core values in mind, and kind of during the process of the growth and development of your business, don't let those values become blurred by any obstacles or changes or diversity that you do meet along the way. So, and by providing quality products and really excellent customer service, you kind of set yourself on the path to success with your social enterprise.
Thank you all very much. I think the students in the room have met a group of great people who I suspect they can all come to and ask questions of in the future if they're undertaking a social enterprise. I'd like to ask everyone to join me in thanking the panel for taking the time to be here with us this evening. It's my pleasure now to introduce our keynote speakers, so if you'd like to find your way back to your seats. I'll introduce Pete Luckett, who's also known as Canada's favorite green grocer. He is, as you'll see, a powerful blend of personality, positive energy, and strategic thinking. He knows how to take a business idea and make it work. What sets him apart in our modern-day marketplace is his ability to court and keep customers. Growing a successful business requires creativity, innovation, and the ability to differentiate yourself from the competition. Pete has masterfully crafted his own business using these important cornerstones. Today, Pete will share his thoughts on growing a successful business or career path and how building and contributing to community can deliver great results. We welcome Pete, a true success story and visionary entrepreneur in this region.
Thank you. All right. Cheers, kiddo. Love you. Well, what a treat, and what a great start to the evening with the panel earlier on. I'm sure you'll notice when I have my chat with you tonight, you'll notice a lot of similarities into what I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to share with you a snapshot of some of the stuff that I kind of do in my business on a regular day. And you'll see, you know, listening to the great four folks up here tonight, the hardships, the tough side of starting a business is no easy path. There's no shortcut to success. So when you embark on a life of self-employment, it's a road that sometimes is no going back. If you want to survive, it's all or nothing, and it requires a lot of energy, commitment, and passion, and you heard that from the team tonight. So my business, to be truthful, did not start as a social enterprise business. Maybe now, as it's evolved over all these years, back since the mid-70s when I started in a little fruit stand in Victoria Market, Nottingham, England, was my first self-employed venture, and it was really a matter of survival. And the word of a social entrepreneur was the farthest thing from my mind at that time, and probably was for many years. It's probably only of the evolution of our business and our brand and our team. Today we have 450 people working in our business, and I think it's largely due to the size of our workforce that maybe that's a part of the reason why we've evolved with a social conscience of running a business and providing an experience for our people to work under, the roof that they come to work under, and providing a special place to work. And I think that's really been a part of our growth and our culture as we've tried to provide that. A great place to work has to become before you can have a great place to shop. So we've got a great team. I'm really proud of them, and I'm going to share with you some stuff tonight about our team. Going to talk about cultivating incredible experiences for your customer and in the community, and that's something we've really been able to make a mark on and be a part of the local community. You heard it tonight, especially from Lil, who was very passionate, talking about a Wooden Monkey restaurant. You know, you've got to pick your path and try and stay focused. One thing I must say, though, when you pick your path and you embark on an entrepreneurial adventure, it doesn't always work out the way you perhaps want it to with your first visions and idea. But I still say, stay true, because many times it's the opportunities that arrive during your excitement, your passion, your enthusiasm to start a business. Many things start to pop. Is that me squeaking there? I think it is. Let me just readjust. Sorry about that. There we go. So, yeah, during that time of starting a business, of that, when you're all revved up and that passion kicks in, many times you may get sidetracked, and there may be other opportunities that arise that can come your way that can look very attractive, whereas your original idea might not be kicking in quite so well. But I do believe that opportunities arise at your doorstep if you go out there and give it your best shot. So giving it your best shot, you never know where it's going to take you. It's not for the faint of heart being in business. I've always believed this: if you can't ride two horses at once, you shouldn't be in the circus. And that's what it takes sometimes to run a business. You've got to be that, like the guy spinning the plates, keeping them all going. Because the commitment to survive in business today, to make it work, is huge on your behalf. So don't for a moment, think it's not for everybody being an entrepreneur. And if everybody was entrepreneur, there'd be nobody to work in the other jobs out there. So it's not everybody's cup of tea. But for those who seek the path, it is a commitment, and it's something that it requires your heart and soul. It requires your time, your social life. When the lads are down the pub having a drink, you're still working on them flipping 17 or 18-hour shift days, trying to keep this business alive that you've just started. These were the early days for me. This was in St. John, New Brunswick, and I'd left England a few years before on an adventure around the world. So I'd sold my little fruit and vegetable business in Nottingham, and I left on a big adventure. I didn't know where I was going, and I eventually finished up, of all places, broke in St. John, New Brunswick, with $300 in my pocket. I got back into the fruit and veg business, and this was my little fruit stand on the back side of the St. John market. And I remember it like yesterday. It was April 1982. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a $300 investment right there. That was my life savings at the time. So it was all or nothing. I was proud as a peacock standing there in front of my little fruit stand. And my first customer, nobody ever went to the back side of the market. Nobody. They only went through the main doors. But there was no room for me inside the market, so that's where I finished up with. So that very first morning, I forget the day, but it was April 1982. I saw a little old lady walking towards the market doors. I reverted back to my English tactics of salesmanship. You see, in England, every customer is darling, sweetie, baby, honey, love. That's just the men, right? Chatting up the customers is a part of life. That's what you do. Chat them up. And so my first day on the job, there was a little old lady heading towards the doors. I give her a little wink and a smile. I says, "Good morning, darling." And I know she'd never been called darling before in her life. Oh, I did. So I thought, I could tell she had that look in her eyes. So I thought, I've made her right bloom her ear, right? But she approached my little fruit stand, and I saw a little twinkle in her eye, right? So I moved in for the kill, right? And I sold her 3 red apples. And that's how it started, that morning in St. John, that first customer. And I believe from that day onwards, as you build a business, marketing, promotion, advertising of your business, and the whole part of branding it becomes huge and sometimes very expensive. I've always believed to build a business, you build it one customer at a time, one at a time. You chat them up, you bring them into the fold, you engage them, you make a sale, you give them the quality, and you engage that person. And that's how you build a business, one at a time. The big budget can be great, but many times entrepreneurs can't afford that big advertising budget. Fortunately, we live in the world these days of incredible access to promote one's business through the world of computers. So this is an incredible thing, a great time for people's lives right now to have access to promote your own business using these means. And we certainly use it in our business today. Every customer, no matter what business you decide to go in, every customer is spoiled for choice and armed with information. Every customer. In fact, most customers have got so much information that they're really a little bit dangerous, because they kind of know too much about everything, because the access to information today is crazy. So you've got to be prepared for that, and I believe you've always got to be one step ahead of your customer. Listening to your customer, finding out what their wants and needs are, and being driven by a customer rather than your accountant or somebody telling you what you should be selling or how you should be doing it. Be driven by your customer. Find out what their needs are, and then do it with style like no other. If you do it average, the problem with doing an average business today is that everybody out there is average. Don't be average. You gotta pick a style. You gotta be authentic. You gotta be original. You gotta be exciting. You gotta be passionate. You gotta be wow. You gotta turn heads. You gotta have people talking about you. If you don't, the chances of survival are slimmer, because there's a load of other people out there today just doing that okay average job. Got to kick it up a notch. That world that we live in today is, wow, it's bonkers. I can remember of days gone by, our business would change and move from year to year, and every few years we'd look at our business and challenge the process. But now, this fast-paced world that we live in, businesses move and change so fast. You have got to be prepared for daily evolution of your business. You've got to constantly challenge your business with fresh eyes nearly every day. The days that we used to have where we'd have strategic meeting sessions every few years to plan our business for the next 4 or 5 years are over, because those are too far spread out. We have to have really serious meetings about how we're going to run our business and face the challenges of running a business much more often. Really, every 3 to 6 months, we'll sit down with our key players right now and look at how we're going to run this business. The world of change is upon us like no ever. I don't have to tell you this. You're living it. You're born into it. It's those old farts, really, that struggle with the world of fast changes and making decisions and being flexible. You can judge your age by the amount of pain you feel when you come in contact with a new idea. That's for us old guys. You don't realize that, but we do. That world of change is not for everybody. But listen, for an entrepreneurial venture kicking out, you've got to live that world. Business will never be the same again. It is moving, and you have got to be one word in my mind, and that is flexible. You've got to be prepared to move and change on a dime. Businesses, they grow as they get bigger, the stronger they come. My world of competition these days is going to be not only the Sobeys of the world and the Loblaw superstores, which do a great job, but just about to enter Nova Scotia right now is Walmart in a bigger way than ever before. We're going to have Target stores coming to Nova Scotia, providing food and goods similar to what I do. This is the world that's coming. To be able to react to these giant forces, the bigger you get, the harder it is to react. One of the keys to business is staying nimble, being able to adjust quickly. If you can't move quickly in a business, it's often too late. The bigger your business gets, the tougher it gets to move and to make them right decisions that you've got to do. This is my pal, retired racing driver, Mario Andretti. He says, if you're not making mistakes, you're not going fast enough. For him to win a race, and this guy was top of the pops, but he told me, he says, Pete, to win a race, you've got to be prepared to crash on every corner. You've got to drive that car to the edge of all its possible capabilities to be able to win a race. If you drive it average, you're going to finish up at the middle or the back of the pack at the end of the race. To win that race, you've got to drive it like no other. And you have got to be prepared to make mistakes. It's the same in business. If you aren't prepared to make mistakes and make adjustments to those mistakes and bounce back, there's a problem there. Got to be prepared to fail. And every entrepreneur, these guys up tonight on the panel, I guarantee you, they didn't share all the words of their business, but I guarantee you, they've all had failures during the growth of their business. For the survivors of failure becomes strength. And once you fail a few times, the lessons that can be learned during failure can become huge to anybody building the character and the strength to run a business. So be prepared to fail, but be prepared to crash and push that business to the edge of your capabilities. You heard it tonight from Lil, and lo and behold, it's in my presentation right here. Green, wow, that's where it's at. Lil said it tonight, flipping it. She stole some of my words tonight, Lil did, because she talked about the opportunities right now in the world of the green initiative. Positioning yourself in this style of business is huge. We have certainly tried to position ourselves as the green grocer of Nova Scotia, because that's a part of our branding, our culture, our workforce. That's what we're doing right now. You've got to be a green machine. The opportunities attached to this in Nova Scotia, and I'm telling you guys, when you finish here at the Mount, don't be flipping leaving Nova Scotia. We want you all staying, right? 'Cause this is where the action is. This is where there are incredible opportunities for business. I look around the room here, and we've got probably 75% immigrants from around the world. I think it's incredible. We need you all here. We need you starting a business here, because this place, Nova Scotia, has tremendous potential. It's untapped right now. I've been around the block. I do spend a lot of time traveling on adventures still today. I love to get out. Now, I just got back from Nepal. I was out there for 3 weeks riding a motorbike around the lowlands of the Himalayas. A crazy, wild adventure. But when I go on these trips, I'm always observing business. I'm always picking up little tidbits, what I can bring back, what can I learn from the food vendors of Nepal. Crikey me, we sell our bananas stacked this way. When they display their bananas, they stack them that way. Wow, just a little thing, right? But you see that stuff. When I come home from a trip, my team at work, they're all saying, oh no, Pete's back. What new ideas has he got right now from where he's been? You can't beat inspiration when you're building a business. Always looking at what other folks are doing. And that's what I do when I do the travels. I look for inspiration, different stuff. Here's something we made a bit of a name. This is a hot buzz right now. Celiac, allergies. I mean, I'd never heard of these 10 years ago. Crikey, mate, it's all over right now. The amount of people that require a gluten-free diet today is huge. It's come out of nowhere. But of course, to react to that situation becomes tough for a lot of... We opened, I think, the first gluten-free cafe above our store in Dresden Row, the first gluten-free cafe on the East Coast, because we saw an opportunity for it, and it's the right thing to do. We bring joy to people's lives. If you can bring joy to somebody's life who is your customer, wow, that's where the magic is right there. So you're not just in it for the money, you're in it because the passion and the enjoyment that you get. But when you bring joy to people's lives, that's when you have a connection in business. To provide solutions for a group or a customer or somebody who wants to do business with you, rather than just sell them a product, but provide solutions to a situation or a problem that they have. There's a way to make a business deal. Look for solving solutions, not just making a dollar. You heard that tonight. Making a dollar for most entrepreneurs who are passionate is not at the forefront of their mind. It's the same for me. I do it because I love mangoes, I love bananas, I love papayas, I love ugly fruit. I get excited about that stuff. I do. Do you like fruit? All right, baby. All right, who loves you? Right here, I do, yeah. But you do, you've got to get excited. But if you can bring joy to people's lives in that business that you offer, wow, what a huge thing. Heard this one tonight. Local, sustainable food in our area. Supplying local food is a part of being a social entrepreneur. Having a program means dealing with local suppliers, supporting our community. This is what we do. We've made a name for ourselves of forming relationships directly with farmers in our area. Local is on fire right now. Never before in the history of food has there been so much support for buying locally. It is with us. It's not going away. Another avenue to think about businesses. It's funny tonight how the panel were all in the food world, weren't they? Yeah, just magic. Food's alive. I'll share with you a few promotional ideas that we did on local, just to think about. We don't spend a lot of money, by the way, on traditional, conventional advertising. I've had a great lot of success over the years grabbing a lot of free media and press and editorial about our business. When you can get that in business, that is the best. When you can get the press writing about your business, can't do it if you're average, but when, let me get back here. When you get the press writing about you, there is some incredible, giant benefits to that. So getting that hooked up in your business. So we don't do a lot of conventional advertising. Some of the stuff we do, mainly online, I'll share with you. Some local beans, fava beans. So we have fava voom. You like that? I know, it's just a bit deep, but just sort of share with you. Our cheese, our local Gouda cheese or Gouda. Gouda delicious, you know, just some stuff. My team did this one. I didn't even know what it meant. I says, tomato omgum? What does that mean? And they had to explain, of course, what it meant. And I'm the old fart. And we have Lambtastic, Nova Scotia lamb from Northumberland. Fantastic lamb. So just some great stuff. Health and wellness is with us. Health and wellness has never been so much on fire. People are more concerned now about what food they consume, keeping fit and healthy, looking after ourselves, being sustainable. So the next picture I'm going to show you, the next picture, may offend some eyes out there. So I won't leave it up there for long. But this is the world of health and wellness we're living right now. This is my Auntie Nellie on holiday in Florida. Look right there, huh? Live longer. That's what they're doing today. You've got to live longer. I've got to take it off before you get too excited. Yeah. Living longer. That's what our population wants to do today. Provide solutions for living longer. And you've got to stay ahead of the pack. The minute that you are not a leader and you're a follower, it's often too late. You've got to be a leader. You've got to find out ways to be innovative about what you are doing. You've got to really, how can I get up front? Deep thinking, challenging. You've got to be a leader. And here's something. People are suffering a lot of pain. Out there, I don't know why, we live the life of Riley. In Nova Scotia, we've got great food on the table. We drink wine every night. We drive nice cars. We've got nice homes to live in. But people are stressed out. I don't know why. They're running around. Got to go here, do this. Let me take this jacket off. Man, you're making that flipping noise. Yeah. Okay. People are stressed. Still squeaking. Just get it squeaked up here. I might have to have a personal volunteer just to hold the mic right there for me. This lady here with the curly hair, she's been looking for that job right now, but I'll let you know, though, and see how we go, all right? Yeah. So, you got to take away the pain from your customers. You got to find out what they're suffering. You know, one thing I hate is and I don't hate much in the world, trust me, but I do hate, when I call a business and I call up, I hate them flipping answering machines. Press 1 for this one, press 2 for accounting, press 3 for the alphabetical list of the directors of the company, press 4. I friggin' hate them. I will never have one of them in my business. I will always have a human being answering the phone. I think people love you. See, we get tied up with this world of crazy stuff we live in. Sometimes we lose the little basics of the connection with customers. How lovely it is when you call up, no frustration, you speak to somebody direct. But you see, what happens when they call my business, we still have to put them on hold, right, while we transfer them to the other call. And when you get put on hold, I hate that music too. I hate that, right? So what I did, just for an idea, I thought, rather than put them on hold, I taped a whole bunch of these little ditties, like information stuff from me. So you call up the business, you get put on hold, and you hear my voice. I know it's not joy to everybody, but you hear my voice, and it's saying, here's a little tip for you. If you get stuck with any ripe avocados, don't throw them away. Scoop out the seed, throw the seed, scoop out the flesh, lay down, relax, have a cup of tea or a glass of wine or a beer, lay down and smother the green flesh all over your face. put 2 cucumbers on your eyelids, take the wrinkles away, lean back, leave it on there for an hour, and then wipe it away. Your face after that will feel like a baby's bum, I tell them. So this is what I tell them on the phone, right? And I've got all these different little tidbits, all these messages, and each one lasts about 1 or 2 minutes. So it's actually worked so crazy. I have people stopping me in the street now saying, Pete, I love calling your store. That's right. I love to be on hold. That's what they're telling me, right? Yeah. So how crazy is that? Yeah. So you have got to find out what pain your customers are suffering. Remove that pain. Melt away their problems. You know, I just bought a barbecue in the fall. I went down to Home Depot in New Minas. I was ready for a new barbecue. I am not a handyman at all. So I bought this barbecue, and I was dreading the thought of going in there. You see them all done up there in the showroom, and then you get it in a box, and you've got to fix it yourself when you get home, right? Drives me frigging crazy. And there they were, all made up. $20 extra, have one already made. Oh, just joy. Joy right there. I paid the $20. That never even bothered me one incy bit. Because the joy of they made my day. I got it home on the truck, put it down, turned it on. See, got to spot what problems are your customers. You've got to take away their problems. And on top of all that, if you can bring humor into your business, if you can make people smile, that is key. So humor in the workforce, humor in your team, your people, you've got to have happy people working for you. Crikey me, you go into a lot of businesses, they should be working in a factory in Siberia. They shouldn't be working on the front lines of your business serving you because they just don't have any love. You've got to find people who've got love to represent your business. That's easier said than done, but you got to do it. Because the minute you lose it on the front lines, it's over. You've got to have joy on the front lines. This lady right here is eating one of the most incredible fruits in the world. They're called Hachia persimmons. In Italy, they call them kaki fruit. Right? They are native to Asia. However, California is a big producer from September through till Christmas. The fruit looks like a big tomato. It's orange in color. It's got a calyx on the bottom where it grows on the tree. They're gorgeous looking. I mean, bright orange, like a teardrop shape about that big. The only problem with it, although they look gorgeous, when you bite into them and they're not ripe, oh, babe, they make your mouth feel all dry. Your tongue feels like a fur coat. You can't speak. They take all the saliva out of your mouth. They're terrible. However, when the fruit ripens, the orange flesh turns into a sack of jelly. It nearly wobbles, and it becomes translucent and squishy, and like you'd normally throw a piece of fruit away when it gets to this jelly stage. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the only time you can eat a persimmon to its true joy. When you bite into it, it's... You drink them. You don't eat them. You suck it down. Right? And it's a sensuous experience. It really is. People say to me, they say, Pete, what's the best way to eat a persimmon? I always tell them, naked in the bathtub. Because it's just... They explode. They're everywhere, right? You see, it may not be politically correct, but if you can make your customers smile, if you can bring joy to one of your customers, here's something that we did. This is my latest love of my life, not the phone box, but the building behind it is our new winery that I opened 2 years ago, just outside of Wolfville in the Annapolis Valley. That phone box is a British phone box that used to be at the bottom of my street in Nottingham, where I live, that very phone box. After I left England in 1979, that phone box disappeared one night. I shouldn't be sharing this story, but it went missing. The lads did a job on it, and it finished up here in Canada, that very phone box. So that's been with me a long time. Disappeared. and him finished up in our Bedford store, promoting our British food section in Bedford, but more recently, I moved it down to the winery. This is when we first opened the vineyard, and now this is all mature vineyard growing around the phone box. I called up my pal, I've got one of my mates at Bell Alliant, owed me a few favors, and I organized with him on that phone box. You can make a call anywhere in North America toll-free. How about that? You want to see see, we don't make any money out of it. It's not a profit deal. It's a joy part of our business. So we see people, they walk through the rows now, down to the phone. Oh my God, they're on the phone. Oh my God, you never guess where I am. I'm in a vineyard in Nova Scotia. And they're calling California. Oh yeah, that's free phone calls. Oh, they freak out. They totally freak. They love it. So, like we said earlier, making money in business ain't all everything. If you can do some things which make you smile, which make your customers smile, which connect with them, which are magic, that's what makes the world go round, right? It's not always about that. It's about the connection and the things you get up to. To survive in business, you've got to be first, best, or different. If you can be all three, fantastic. But it's hard to be all three. It's hard to be the first to do something these days. It's hard to be the first. But can you be the best at something? I think so. And can you do it in a different style? I think so too. We've got to strive for these. If you can get all three, you're off to a rearing start. We have something at work, at our business, that we call the believer experience, that we try and get our customers to experience. The word experience, I think, has been a little bit overused in the last few years because everybody's trying to create this experience, this magic. But we're still at it. I think it's important to put your customers in the right mood for your business. If your customers aren't in the right mood, I go to this clothing store on Spring Garden Road. It's the most flippin' expensive place in town to buy men's clothes. But I love going there. It's called Duggar's Menswear. You go into Duggar's, wow, they treat you like a king. You walk in there, you're feeling good. They say, would you like a drink, sir? I said, sure. I said, what are you going to have? I said, well, I'll have a gin and tonic. Right where you're buying your clothes. It's fantastic. Yeah. They know how to put you in the mood. You've got to put your customers in the mood. I don't mean you've got to get more drunk. That's just one example, right? But you've got to set the tone for your customers. Important. Our believer experience, every customer, we want to be excited. We've got to reach out to their emotions somehow so they get stimulated. Excitement is a part of it. It has to be personal. You know, the old McDonald's greeting, wham, bam, thank you, have a nice day, ma'am, thank you. I mean, that's okay, but we encourage with our workforce today to be individual, to add a personal touch, to add your little magic. Even though we've got a Pete's handbook these days that tells you how you should behave and what you should be doing, we encourage our team to be totally individual, because I like that. I like the individual, the personal touch that adds to a customer's experience. Huge. We often, in big businesses, underestimate the power of that interaction at the front lines. It gets lost in the big corporate world. The magic of that interaction, the smallest little thing. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. How were those melons I picked out for you last week for your dinner party? All right for you? Were they ripe enough, sweet enough? Wow, huge. You affect people's lives in business. We don't always realize it. In business, you are reaching out and you're touching people's lives in many ways. So bringing joy, little personal touch, little magic. You don't realize what it's doing to build your brand, but how much you affect people's lives as a part of doing it. Memorable. It's got to be a memorable experience. They've got to be able to, they've got to take away when they walk out and they get home. They tell them, oh, you never guess where I went today. Went down to Pete's, had the most fantastic sandwich I've ever had in my life. It's got to be memorable. If the experience is not memorable, it could be weak. Authentic. There's a word for you these days. Being authentic. Being authentic means being the original, the one and only, the specialist, being famous for something. If you can try and position yourself where you are the authentic, people love doing business with the specialist, the best, the professionals. People enjoy that, doing business with that. If you aren't professional, well, if you're famous for something, that's a bit of magic right there. And it's got to be valuable. We've got to bring value. I don't talk much about value. We can't be the most expensive player in town because I don't want that reputation. But we're certainly not the cheapest player in town. I think there's much more value that comes to a service you provide for a customer than just in price. All the things I talk about are value in your customer's eyes. So you can't get every customer this way because you're always going to get customers who shop around purely for the cheapest price of the product you're selling. But you can bring value in many different forms. And many times people really appreciate the value. If you get your experiences right in your business, no matter what you're selling, I believe you have an opportunity to turn your customers into loyal customers. Everybody wants loyal customers. Easy to talk about, but hard to do. Once you get loyal customers who are there every day because you like what you do, the quality, the integrity, the level of service, then you work on your loyal customers more, and bingo, they become advocates of your business, where you are totally front of mind for supplying them your products to that customer. If you work on your advocates of your business, if you work on your advocate and still build that magic with them, then, hallelujah, you turn your customers into evangelists. When you have got customers who are evangelists for your business, wow, you can throw away your marketing budget. You don't even need it anymore because these evangelists will spread the word about how good you are, what you do, the products you sell. We all want. To get evangelists for customers is very, very, very difficult. There's no shortcut. You've got to earn them. You've got to build them. It might take you a year. It might take you 10 years to get them to the stage of evangelists. I love it. I love the challenge, you know, of having a customer sometimes. It's not always joy, but a disgruntled customer, of turning that equation around, showing them some love, bringing them into the fold, and making them a customer for life. I love sometimes the staff when they're working perhaps behind the deli, and they see that lady come in that nobody likes to serve. Oh, drives you crazy. They all run the other way when they see her. Right, I'm not serving her. But if you can take that customer, bring them into the fold, smother them to death with love and affection. We call them bogies. That's our nickname for them, is the old bogey coming in now. And you can turn that bogey into an angel. That is a challenge that I love. Turning a bogey into an angel. Making them a customer for life. We have to listen to our customers. I told you earlier on, businesses have to be driven by your customers, what they're wanting. And if you don't listen to your customers, although it's retail 101, you got to listen to what they're saying. We've got little old ladies who come into the store, I'll tell you. They are brainwashed by the brand. They come into the store, they'll say, Pete, have you got any Chiquita bananas today? See, we don't always get the Chiquita bananas. We have the Dole bananas. They're all the same. Dole, Tabana, Chiquita, Del Monte. They're all bananas with different stickers on. Pete, have you got any Chiquita? I said, just a moment, darling. And I go through the swing doors at the back. You see, once in a blue moon, I do get Chiquita bananas. And I always save some stickers. That's right. That's right. That's right. You come out with them blue stickers on, baby. Let me tell you, it's like you walk on water. That's right, yeah. Not that I'm encouraging this deceptive form of business practice. But you've got to listen to your customers. You've got to be driven by what your customers want. I don't share this with you. This was one of the miracle stories I want to share with you here. So this here, at the vineyard, when we're doing our sampling all the day, and we're pouring wine, and we get huge amount of corks build up. I never know what to do with them. We had struggled at the vineyard to build up a database of customers. We struggled. I had a little sign by the cash register, please leave your name and address and join our newsletter and we'll contact you. You know, it's the old con to get the name to market your product, but you put it out there, right? So, and we couldn't. I'd get perhaps 2 a day if I was lucky. I just come up one day with the idea, I'll pile these corks out on the old cart, and we put, guess the number of corks and win a case of wine, right? Oh my God, this thing went ballistic. We collected during the summer 10,000 email addresses from that pile of corks. Tell me how crazy that is. 10,000 email addresses. I had one of my young ladies in the office. She was in there for 4 days, punching in all the emails into our system. So now we've got a 10,000 strong database at our winery that we can market to just from that pile of corks. Who would have thought it? Anyway, there you go. And there it is. There's the pile of the, look, it's just one of the piles of all the people leaving their name and email addresses on there. And just thought I'd show you that. This is a picture, I'm going to show you the next picture, when we first started the vineyard. And it's got some words attached. So I stole these words from a guy who wrote a book. And I like to read sometimes business books for ideas, but I love these words, and I'll share them with you. The place where your greatest fears live is also the place where your greatest growth lies. Wow, I love them words. The place where your greatest fears live. We've all got them. Every one of these entrepreneurs at the table, let me tell you, had a lot of fear and doubt about starting a business. But sometimes when you dive in at the deep end and you take chances and you give it your best shot, even if you fail, the learning curve and the climbing up that ladder to get over that, it's huge, huge. I love these words. Every time I've started a business or my little ventures in the last few years, I think about these words. This is our vineyard when we first started planting it. This was 9 years ago. Very expensive venture, growing grapes. I never knew whether it would work or not. I got this vision. There were some other wineries starting up in the province. It was starting to get exciting, and I thought I'd dive in and have a go at it. So I just need you to think about that when you're starting your business, because it's tough and it's scary, and you will have them quivering moments in your stomach. Wake up in the middle of the night. You owe money. You're working all hours God sends you. It's nuts. This was opening day at the winery. We didn't do any conventional advertising. We have a database that we built up at the peat stores. We used that for a marketing tool. So without spending a lot of money to get people to arrive, we had 5,000 people show up on opening day. It was a crazy, wild day. It was fantastic. The lineup never got less than like 300 people. The lineup was always 300 long, all day long. I stood out front, had my little plastic wine glasses. I was like the guy in the Dominican Republic, pouring them out like that. Everybody got a little taste. So nobody came to the winery without getting a little taste, because it's very easy, as you know, to disappoint a customer. There's a picture of the farm. This is where I live. This is my home right now. This is what I've been developing over these years, and I'm really enjoying it. We've got an incredible team at the Fruitique that I'm still connected with and still working magic with. When I first bought that farm in the year 2000, I'd always had a love affair with sunflowers. When you drive past a field of sunflowers, there's something that's just, wow. You see them in the breeze there. They just get you excited. I love them. So I thought when I bought that farm, I never even thought about growing grapes. The first thing I'm going to do is grow sunflowers. So I called up Vesey Seeds in Prince Edward Island, the seed supplier. I got this big bag of sunflower seeds, and I rototilled some of the land up, and I started planting these all by hand, all these sunflower seeds, one by one. And I finished up with over an acre of sunflowers right there. Unbelievable. Thousands and thousands of sunflowers started popping up. I thought, this is great. So we started selling them at the store. Look, sunflowers for all my darlings, all my customers, right? And we're selling them for $1 a piece. That was fantastic, but the problem with it was I got more sunflowers coming on every day than I could sell. So then I call up all the florist companies throughout Halifax, and I'm delivering to the flower shops every day, 70 cents a piece. That was okay too, but I've still got more sunflowers coming on. In fact, I've got so many sunflowers coming on, it's been crazy. I've still got 3/4 of an acre left, and we got loads. So some of our team said at work, Pete, why don't we give them away? I says, get out of here. But we did. You know, we finished up giving thousands of sunflowers away just for a bit of joy. Every customer, every man, dog, woman, child, anybody who breathed, well, came near the store, got a sunflower. They still talk about it today. We still grow sunflowers, but we cut down. Right? We know the right amount to now that we can make a little profit out of them. But that first year, we did give them all away. The sense of urgency in any business is always there. In the produce business, our product is dying by the second. It's not getting any better. Fortunately, in the wine business, it's opposite. It's kind of improving. But the produce, you've got to be on your game. The urgency never leaves you. I'm going to fast forward a few here because I've got probably too much stuff because I like talking to you, right? And I get carried away. So we'll skip here. I'll tell you about the bus. This is the Magic Winery bus that leaves Wolfville in the summer. It goes around 5 wineries. We worked with the town of Wolfville. Wow, what a great thing. It was just an idea that Hans-Peter Stutz from Grand Pré Winery and myself, we had a chat one day, and I says, what about a double-decker? And next thing, we made it work. This thing was incredible. It was full up all summer long. Going around the loop, you hop on, hop off around all the wineries. You'll have to, if you've not been on it, this year, you need to be down there. Do your brains in. You'll love it. So, ideas, festivals, bringing magic, things that don't always make you money can still be great for a business because they can bring joy. Look at this. I want to share this with you. Perugia, Italy. Anybody been there? Well, let me tell you. In 1992, just a few of these chocolate makers in Perugia decided to get together and come up with a little chocolate promotion. Half a dozen chocolate shops around Perugia. And they came up with this promotion. This promotion over the next 25 years developed, 22 years, developed into this giant chocolate festival like you could never imagine. Now in Perugia, just from these guys who got together with this idea, they have hundreds of thousands of people visit this little town in Italy for the chocolate festival. Just out of an idea came this magic. You never know what's going to happen. Okay, just 2 more things. Just to let you know, this is a bit of a promotion. I shouldn't really be doing this. But the Winter Wine Festival for all wineries is about to start. So if you like wine or you're excited about Nova Scotia wine, all the wineries starting next week start this great winter wine promotion. And each winery has got some magic winter festival or activities going on. We do the tobogganing down between our vineyard rows. We call it the Luckett's Luge, right? You bring your own toboggan. But ask me, who's got the land speed record for the luge? See, all these little kids who come there, they have a great time. They're all saying, hey, Pete, come on down the hill. We'll show you what it's all about. I say, no, I'm not. But they were bugging me all day long, these kids. So in the afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. So I got one of these stainless steel sort of cooking trays out the kitchen, got it all shined up on the backside there. I hit the ground, I sprinted, I hit the ground at the top of the hill, dived on this tray. I've still got bruises on my chest today. And dived on this tray. I was like the speeding bullet. I was at the bottom, we have this ramp to stop everybody. I flew up over this ramp. I was like Eddie the Eagle. I was just... Anyway, it was a great time. So we have a horse and sleigh bring you back top of the hill again. How about that? Is that fun or what? Okay, so I've got a few more, but I think next year you're having this same gathering, this same conference in Hawaii, I've heard. So I'm coming back next year to finish off my presentation that I ran out of time. So this is Pete, your pal, you know, from the old food business, the wine business. Been a joy talking to you. I wish you all the best with your weekend of excitement, your business plans, and hopefully you've picked up a little nitbit or nibbler of information tonight that you can use with you, in the plans this weekend. So, thank you very much. Toodly-doo. Thank you. Thank you.